As y'all may know by now, the media released the all SEC teams, right? We just gonna go through the first team. Now, this is a pretty solid list for the most part on the offensive side of the ball, right? Again, I have no issues with Lenore Sellers being first, right? Because he's been there, he's produced. Last year he was third team all SEC, had a really good productive year for the Gamecocks. Obviously, he's their star player, one of the best for Shane Beamer. It makes a lot of sense, bro. I'm not gonna put DJ Lagaway or Arch there when they didn't have the same level of production, obviously, that he had this past season. Obviously, Arch, backing up Quinn Ewers, and obviously, you look at Lagaway, who got in, a little bit later towards season, dealt with injuries. I'm not gonna put them all SEC first team. So definitely okay with that. And a guy that's underrated that obviously Coach Sark brought up at SC Media Days is obviously Trey Wisner. And I agree. I think he's a really good back, over 1,000 yards rushing this past year. And he should be right back in the fold for the Texas Longhorns. Le'Veon Moss, we'll see what happens with his situation. Obviously, I think he recently got into a little thing legally, so we'll see. Obviously, everything works itself out there. But we know when he plays, he's the top back in the SEC, without a doubt about it. And then, yeah, when you look at wide receivers, I mean, first team, you can't get much better than Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams. That both of those are valid. Both had really good seasons last year. Both burst into the scene as true freshmen, obviously made a part. And Cam Coleman would be bigger than what he is if Jeremiah Smith didn't pop off the way he did, right? But when you think of the top, obviously, receivers in the SEC, you think of those two. So, spot on. Now, as it comes to obviously this season, I think they did a really good job, obviously, with tight end as well. And Eli Stowers, he had a really productive year for the Commodores. He had 49 catches, 638 yards, and 5 touchdowns last season. Should have another great season. So, as far as tight end wise, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, you can bring up other great tight ends, the Lawson Luckies of the world. But we will see what steps forward they take this year, right? But in terms of production, Stowers got it. All right, now on the offensive line, obviously, really great players. And as I said with Florida and why I'm so high on them, look, two guys is on here for the offensive line, Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter, two outstanding players for the Gators. And this is why I think the Gators will take that step. When you have a formidable offensive line, and the media sees that as well, you can be dangerous. DJ Campbell, another stud on the offensive line, obviously for Texas. He's been doing his thing. Caden Proctor, we know how highly recruited and ranked he was coming out of high school. He's continued to show out on the college ranks. Definitely one of the best, obviously, offensive linemen. And you look at Caden Green of Missouri. So, like I said, I give him a solid A. I think they did really good on the All-SEC first team. Obviously, in terms of production, what these kids have done, obviously their potential and all that good stuff. This is a very solid list on the offense. All right, now let's look defensively. Keldron Falk, obviously, of Auburn. We know how productive he was on the defensive line last year. Dylan Stewart, obviously, burst into the scene. Recently got his NIL. Obviously, bump up in package after having a really good season for, obviously, the Gamecocks. Then you look at Colin Simmons, who, like I said, I think is one of the best pass rushers in college football. And I think he's going to continue to show that this year. Burst into the scene as a freshman and became their best pass rusher towards the middle of the season. He was unstoppable, and he was causing havoc. That guy's a stud. And then Kristen Miller, obviously, of Georgia, he's been doing his thing, man. He's a really good player. Miller has continued to progress in his career, obviously, with the Bulldogs, right? He was, I think, the third highest rated player, according to PFF, for the 82 grade, obviously, this past season, man. He continued to get better as the season wore on, and he's going to be their best defensive player, right? They're very young. Georgia's a very young team, especially defensive side of the ball, and they're going to be dependent on him to take that step forward, and Miller is the guy to do that. So he's going to be one to continue to watch, and he's gotten better and better from Cedar Grove High School. And then next, like I said, the best linebacker, I think, in college football, Anthony Hill Jr. He's a dog, bro. Like, where are you going to get a guy that can blitz, cover, play off the edge? I mean, that kid can do it all, bro. He is probably one of the best prospects we've seen in a long time just in terms of the linebacker position. I really think he is that good. And Texas got something special with him and Simmons and potentially even Justice Terry this year if he cracks the rotation at all. Anthony Hill Jr. is that guy. And obviously you go to LSU with Weeks. How does he recover from that injury? You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting that they got him obviously as the first team. But we know when he plays, he's a stud linebacker, but he puts his body on the line consistently, always, obviously, for his football team, man. But when he suits it up and he puts it on, he's definitely one of the top linebackers in the SEC. And then you obviously got C.J. Allen. I like that pick as well. C.J., 76 tackles this past season, over 100 and plus tackles over the course of his career. One of the big returners for Georgia this year. Kid's a stud, and they've always had studs at linebacker role as well for Georgia. So really good pick there. Now underrated is KJ Bolden at the safety spot, right? Obviously he was all SEC last year. Did his thing, man, as a true freshman, seeing the field. How good will he be this year as that main defensive guy, obviously, for the Bulldogs? They got, obviously, Dalen Everett, who's on this list right here. Obviously, cornerback, going to have a big role this year. But how good will KJ Bolden be is the biggest question. And he got, obviously, Michael Taft. Look at his development. Look at his growth, right? As Sark said in the SEC media days, they've lost, obviously, position coaches, but they kept the same defensive coordinator, same offensive coordinator. That bodes well. Michael Taft will be manning that defense with some very talented freshmen coming in, obviously, at the defensive back role. And then last but not least, one of the best cornerbacks in the country, Jamal McCoy. That dude, highly rated, can do a bunch of different things, really good in press, zone, hard hitter, solid. So yeah, I would say for the most part, I think the media did a really good job with this. I give this a solid A list. Like, I think defensively, offensively, when you think of SEC, these are the players you think of, and they all going to be able to contribute and play at a high level. I think it was solid, man. I give this a solid A list. But y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Who did they miss out on for first team All SEC?